Okay, what we have here today, folks, is a tutorial video on Mobius Final Fantasy about how to either re-roll or begin a new character game. And you're probably wondering, if you've not played this game, why there's a video on this. And basically, what I'm going to discuss is the strategies for making the most out of when you start a new game, or if you choose to re-roll. If you played Mobius Final Fantasy, then you know that if you're willing to pay money on the game, there's probably really no reason to re-roll a character. So really this is dedicated for those of us like myself who are free-to-play players that have no interest in spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on the game. So in some ways, free-to-play players, we are cursed. We are cursed in the sense that getting a supreme card, ability card for a character is extremely rare for a free-to-play player. And there's another video on attempts for strategy for how to get a supreme card and some estimates as to how many card summons you have to do to get a supreme card. But for now, the strategy here is these are tactics to maximize your game in terms of getting the best cards possible and managing your materials well so you get most out of the game without spending any actual cash. So all free to play. So I have about 10 tips here, and the first one that I want to start right out with is greed, for the lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. And the number one tactic here when you're starting a new game or a new character or even re-rolling, and I should say that be careful if you're thinking about re-rolling, because if you've gotten cards from special events, most of that stuff, all that stuff you've gained is going to get reset. And so for some people it's just not worth it. It might be better rather than re-rolling to start a new character or to start managing your resources differently. Okay, so first, number one piece of advice: greed is good, greed is right. So what am I saying? Number one, hoard your items. Be greedy. And I'm talking about consumables. Things such as elixirs, crystals, magicite, summoning tickets, growth stars, ability tickets, friend tickets, augment materials. And in other videos I'll discuss in more detail when it's appropriate to use those or the best times to use them. But the top three is magicite, your summoning tickets, and your growth stars. Those three things are very rare, or at least the amount that you need. Alright, you need so much that you should treat them as if they are rare. So the goal here then is to, when you restart the character, to keep as many of these things as possible so that you can get the best cards and best use possible out of your game. Because without getting a supreme card, you can still conquer all the content in the game. In some ways, supreme cards even break the game because it takes strategy out of it, but that's another discussion. So number two, you got to make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power. And what I mean by that is that's the whole point of the greed, is that you have to collect up your resources and then use them at the right moment, and with that will come your good, powerful character. And the first aspect to this is magicite management. Okay, you can see up in the upper right corner here on the screen, there's this little ticker, right, and this counts up. You get so much magicite per day, approximately 150. Okay, so you want to log in, you know, if you're trying to get as much as possible, like twice a day, in the morning, at night. Make sure you don't let this will only go up to 100 and then it'll stop. So you don't want to waste it and leave it sit at 100 if you want to get the most possible magicite. And magicite is key for getting summoning tickets and for doing your summoning and you want to get as much of that as possible so that down the road, planning in the future, you can try to get that Supreme card. Which takes us to point number 3. I'm going to teach you how to hate spending money. Okay, that's the point here. You don't want to, and when I say money here, I'm talking about your Magicite. You want to acquire it, accumulate it, but not spend it. Okay, there are a lot of different items in the game you can technically buy with Magicite. If we go to the shop here, and then go to item shop, there's all kinds of things. Ability tickets, pretty much every item in the game you can get with Magicite if you want to. Okay, cards for upgrading. One of the things people spend Magicite on are growth stars. I'll talk a little bit about that. So, all kinds of things you can get, but you don't want to, if possible. Okay, all you really want is you want to save it up. So if I go to here, to summon cards, you want to save up your Magicite, okay, for the greater summon. Okay, and we'll talk about that later on, or at least that's one option. Or here it says Supreme Summon. Okay. Now, all of these materials have different uses at different times. The growth stars I want to mention in particular because it's the only way to augment a card from a 3-star to a 4-star card. The way the game is currently designed, it's easier to go from a 4-star to a 5-star than it is from a 3-star to a 4-star, and so you want to be very careful with those growth stars because they take time to get. Okay, there's only 3 ways to get them: spending Magicite, through the daily gift box, which most of you probably know about. After so many days, 16 days, you get one for free, and then through the Mobius gift box, which I'll mention later. So hoard those items. Point number 4. Money won is twice as sweet as money earned. What I mean by that is that on the 8th day of every month, 8th, 18th, 28th, is a Mobius day in which you get several bonuses. One of which, of course, is a fusion. When you go to fusion here, you'll get a bonus to make it easier to fusion. But your elixirs are worth twice the stamina. You can see here, this is my new character that I've recreated. So with this new character, I am hoarding everything, and so I have 49 elixirs. I will only use those elixirs on a Mobius day because they're worth twice as much stamina. So I'm maximizing my use of those. So that's point number 4. Take advantage of the Mobius day and take advantage of the Mobius gift box. So let me show that. The Mobius gift box is the best thing in the game. You get 6 summoning tickets. It costs 3,000 Magicite, and each summoning ticket is worth 500 Magicite. So basically, everything beyond the summoning tickets is bonus. Okay. So whenever that is available for purchase, once every 30 days, you want to grab that. Point number 5. 2 accounts are better than 1, or 2 characters are better than 1. And the point of this is that if you go to multiplayer, and I'll say more about multiplayer in another video, but if I go to the multiplayer area, Ring of Braves, the other way to get Magicite is by helping players clear a zone or clear a boss for the first time. If somebody is fighting a boss for the first time and you're part of the group that wins, you get 20 Magicite for each one. You can do that 5 per day. So for first clear, you help somebody get first clear, you get 20 Magicite, and you can do that 5 times a day for 100 Magicite total per day. Here's the problem though, is it's hard to get into those groups. It's only new players or people who have not cleared a boss you get those 20 Magicite. And this is why 2 characters are better than 1, because what a lot of people do is they'll have a secondary character to which they will start a fight and then they bail. And when they start the fight, they create a reserve spot for their regular character. And so they start a fight, they have a reserve spot that they can enter into with a regular character. The secondary character bails, so it doesn't count as cleared. And then their primary character gets the 20 Magicite. Okay, so 2 accounts are better than 1 if you're trying to get as much magicite as possible. That does require having the game, I guess, on 2 devices. I don't know any other way to do it. Now, all of that put together leads us to our strategy of waiting to lift the curse at the opportune moment. And I'll have another video to talk more about that, which basically means we're accumulating as much magicite, as many summoning tickets as possible to take a shot at the Supreme card. Alright, tip number 6. Easy mode versus hard mode. A lot of people say you should play on hard mode. If you play on hard mode, you go to ETC to change from easy mode to hard mode. Right here under config, battle difficulty, easy or hard. So a lot of people put that on hard mode because you get more summoning, or you get more skill seeds from when you complete battles, and you need the skill seeds for character upgrades. Now there's a bittersweet here. Hard mode means it's harder a little bit. For an experienced player, it's not a big deal. However, I will say if you're a new player, stamina early on is important. Each fight takes a certain amount of stamina. Stamina is accrued by time. And so if you run out of stamina, you have to wait, either use an item, which we want to save for Mobius Day, or you have to wait for the stamina to fill back up. So you definitely don't want to waste stamina by losing fights earlier on. And that takes me to point number 7, which is recently, in the last month or so, they added a tutorial mode, and you want to complete that tutorial mode. Whoops, I passed it. Where is it? Tutorial. I forget. Oh, Novices Hall, that's what I mean. So you want to do this as soon as it's available when you start your new game. You have to do part of the first chapter, and then it'll become available. It'll give you 2 4-star cards for free with everything maxed out, and it will give you a ton of skill seeds. Because this gives you so many skill seeds, about 800,000 plus for each type of skill seed, I think playing hard mode early on isn't as important. So if you want to start on easy mode to make sure that you can clear content quickly, I think that they give you enough skill seeds to get started. Now, having said that, that takes us to our 8th tip, which is now that there's this new monk trainer card. And this actually, unless I missed something, it appeared that I was able to unlock this to 8 earlier than the other cards. Now, you want to reserve your crystals and your skill seeds, so you don't want to unlock, and even if you look at my other ones, a lot of them I've not unlocked them. I've only done up to cheaper parts, and that was only to clear content. So the idea is, with these training jobs, they're not that good, so you want to wait to use your stuff on a good job, alright, that you get from a card draw, and not waste it on these mediocre and poor training jobs at the beginning of the game. But the monk job is the one to work on. The reason is because you have 3 types, and there's 2 different element combinations for each one. And not only do they use monk cards, but you know, the first 2, the fighters, use the fighter cards, and this one uses the mage cards. This one here uses the mage cards, and this one uses the ranger cards. And so what you can do is maximize your use of cards that you have by using this one rather than... So this is your main... I use this as the main one in order to clear content. I'll have more advice on that later on. But for single player, this is the job card I think to be using on a restart to clear the content to get your items. Okay. Tip number 9. Only 2 left. Manage your borrowed cards. So every time you enter a fight, you get to borrow a card from another player. So if I just click on this, I don't know if it will. Let me see. Oh wait, you have to use a specific. Right, hold on. Let me get to another screen here so that I know I don't mess it up. Okay, it didn't go. Somehow I didn't click on it. If you played the game before, you know what I'm talking about. But you get to borrow cards from other players right here. And what you want to do is, in order to maximize getting through the content quickly on your restart, you want to be careful of what ones you pick later on. For example, the Aerith card is probably the strongest card in the game because it is a support card. Here we go. Great Gospel. It's a support card, so anybody can use it, and it gives amazingly powerful buffs. And so you want to manage these borrowed cards in order to get through the content quickly. And this card is very good for the monk because the monk's strength is its attack, and the Aerith card gives a elemental perk to your attack that makes you do even more damage. So the monk combined with this card allows you to get through content very quickly and easily, kind of speed through the early parts of the game to get to where you want to be. Now, when I say manage your borrowed cards, is after you use a card, you get an option at the end of the fight to follow the player or not. If you follow the player, what's supposed to happen is that card for that player is supposed to show up more often for you to select from the borrow list, and you can click this button here to go to another screen. So if you only follow the supreme cards that people are letting you borrow, then that allows you to have better options from the borrow screen. And Aerith is the key here to helping you out. And finally, there are special areas for farming. At certain times I'll have a video just on farming to go through some of the card setups and basic tactics. But here, these exploration zones are one of the best places to farm. And so you want to take advantage of, below it tells you which days has which bonuses for your skill seeds, and so you want to keep that in mind to maximize your skill seeds early on. Okay, those are my 10 tips for re-rolling or starting a new character. Overall, the overarching goal here is to hoard your items, don't spend only what you absolutely have to, and let's try to save up for those supreme card for a free-to-play player. Peace out.